Hey everyone, welcome back to our 12-week Kickstart series. This is class number 2, where we'll be talking about presenting offers and counter offers. Let's go.
All right, so let's say that you have a property for sale right now on the market for a client, and you've had a great first weekend, you've had a lot of showings. You want to reach out to all of the buyer's agents, who showed the property. You can use the platform that you're using. We mentioned showing time in the last class, that's what we use. You can go into your platform and you can look at all the agents who scheduled appointments to see the property. Contact each one of those agents to get feedback from them and also to figure out if anyone is going to be placing an offer on the property. The buyer agent may have more questions for you. They may have reservations, or clients may have reservations about the property. If you can gather that kind of information from the buyer's agent during this conversation, it'll really help you to sort of pre-negotiate or understand where that buyer might be coming from in their offer if they're asking for certain terms, certain concessions, or at a certain price point. So make sure that you're contacting the listing agents not only for all that information, for the feedback, but also to find out what you can do to help them help their client put an offer in on your client's property. If the agent is going to be putting an offer in on the property on behalf of their client, make sure to let them know, remind them, and request them to reach out to you directly to let you know that they have sent the offer. It can be a text message, a phone call, an email, whatever you prefer, or whatever you and the buyer's agent decide on is a good way to communicate. Do that. You want them to let you know when they've sent the offer, because sometimes buyer's agents' emails could go into your spam folder. If they're heavy on marketing, for example, and they have email campaigns, enough people on Google or whatever mail platform they use could have marked those emails as spam, and now the system thinks that everything coming from that email is spam, and it's protecting you as a third party. Make sure you check your spam folders if you're not getting texts or phone calls from listing agents, or if you haven't spoken to listing agents yet who indicated they were making an offer. Just make it a habit of checking your spam folder every day to make sure that you haven't received an offer from somebody that's gone missed. Once you confirm that you have received the offer, whether in your direct email inbox or in your spam folder, reach back out to the listing agent and confirm to them that you have received the offer, that it has been delivered and received. That'll give them a start to their timeline of knowing that you are going to be presenting the offers to your seller client and that they should be expecting an answer soon. On that note, you should talk with the buyer's agents about what your and your seller's timeline is. If you list on a Thursday and you are having open houses all weekend or want to get through the first weekend of showings of the home being listed, let them know that the sellers may not be looking at offers until Sunday night or until Monday morning. If they're going to be looking at offers right away, let them know that as well. That way, when they submit their offer, they can provide their client with that information. Hey, it's going to be 3 days before we get a response. Let's just be patient, and I'll keep checking in to see what's going on. Or, hey, they're going to be showing offers right away, so we're not going to have to wait for other offers to come on the table. Let's make this one good so that they accept it right away. All right, so now that you have the offer in hand, or offers in hand, ideally, you're going to want to review them before presenting them to the client. That way, you know what each term means in itself and how each term affects other terms of the contract. How do dates in the contract affect the seller's plans, goals, or the transaction as a whole? The first thing you'll want to do is to make sure that you've received all of the pertinent documents. This isn't always just a purchase agreement. You may also need to include a third-party financing addendum. You may also need to include a lead-based paint disclosure, seller leaseback. There may be multiple different forms needed depending on the type and location of the property that you have listed. Okay, so now you want to verify that all of the information inside the purchase agreement is filled in and is correct. Make sure that they've done the correct math on the purchase price, the cash to the sales price, and then the financing of the sales price if it's financed. Make sure that the earnest deposit is appropriate for your seller, correct. Make sure that dates are all correct, that they're not mistakenly putting in an elongated period of time for their option period or for their buyer approval or things like that. Once you've completely reviewed the purchase offer and all of the terms and conditions inside of it, save it to a preferred location that you remember, that you have set up, that you have a plan for. Um, on that note, make a plan for how you're going to be saving all of these files. Do you have a file with the client's address on it? And then another file within that file that has offers inside of it? Are the offers dated? Do you want to create folders that say, okay, these are the offers came in on Friday, these are the offers came in on Saturday, offers that came in on Sunday? However you want to organize it, make a plan and decide how you're organizing it. That way you're not having to figure it out, do all the math in your head about how to organize the files. I know there's no math, but save everything to your preferred location that you're going to remember, that's easily accessible, and that you can just quickly get to whenever you need to reference these documents, these contract documents. All right, so let's say that you have multiple offers on the table. Ideally, you want to create a spreadsheet in whatever platform that you use to compare all of these offers. You can use Excel or Google Sheets or whatever other platform that you use. In the rows, write in the names of the people who are making the offers. What name is on the contract? And then in the columns to the right of that, might be this way, rows, columns. I think that's right. Put in all of the pertinent details of the contract, of the offer. Here's a list: offer price, concessions, financing terms, the closing date, home warranty requested, inspection times, the lender, and the agent. That way you have the lender's contact information and the agent's contact information right there inside the spreadsheet with all of the other offers, so that when you're presenting the offer to your clients, if they have questions about the offer or want to understand better what certain parts of the offer mean, you'll be able to reach out to them directly. To make it easy, you can go right through the contract section by section and create a column for each one of those terms. So, for example, you would start off with purchase price, and you put in the purchase price. You can put in a type of financing, whether it's cash or there's a financing contingency on it. The next thing would be the earnest deposit. What is the earnest deposit? What is the option fee they're paying? How many days in option are they requesting? And so on and so on. And if you do that, then everything lines up perfectly with the contract, so that as you're presenting the contract to your clients, you can walk through that spreadsheet and show them, okay, here is what this offer is showing, and here's how it compares to all of our other offers. And it's right there visually, all in one place. All right, so a little bit more work here before you present to your clients. Try to create a summary of each offer based on the contract conditions and terms that you just outlined in your spreadsheet. So take the emotions out of the deal to start off with. You don't want to allow your own personal life or your own personal history or work history or time as an agent dealing with other clients and other transactions to impact negatively and emotionally how you present the offers to your client. You don't want to um, take your baggage and your experiences and put that onto them and make them feel emotional about the contracts, about the offers. These are really just numbers and terms. And when you describe the numbers and terms to your client and what that means to them, how that affects the whole transaction and the timeline of the transaction, let them decide what they're comfortable with or what's appropriate to them. You can have conversations around each one of these terms and around how each one of them is affecting the transaction, but try to keep your emotions out of it. Try to keep your own personal emotions and your opinions out of the presentation so that they can decide for themselves what they think is best for them, given what you've told them and the information you've given them about how that affects them in their situation. The next thing you want to do in your summary is outline all of the key differences. This is important because it's really what matters the most when you're presenting these offers to your client. You don't want to see all the things that are the same because nothing really affects anything else. They're not better than the other one if they're just the same. So you want to look specifically at the differences. And again, you want to look at how each term affects the transaction as a whole, and also how each term affects other terms of the contract and what that might mean. Write this all down in your summary as you outline all of the main differences of each one of these offers. Now, the last thing you need to do before presenting offers is to show the seller or create for the seller a net sheet on each one of these offers. This is going to help you visually and mathematically show them the differences between these offers from a financial standpoint. Again, remember, there are terms in the contract that can affect other terms, and this may not have to do with money. It may have to do with time or days. So the net sheet is a quick way to show them all the number sides of it, all the profit potential side of it, aside from the terms and the conditions within the contract. So what is the best way to present your offers? Well, the first thing I would say is ask your client, what do they prefer? What is their timeline or their schedule like? If one of the buyers, one of the sellers works overnights, you'll have to plan accordingly for that. If someone works weekends, you have to plan accordingly for that, especially if you're planning on presenting on a Sunday night. So ask them what's best for them. Do they want to do something in person? Do they want to do maybe there's two people, one of them in person, one of them joining on a video call, or completely on a video call? No matter which way that they choose, whether it's virtual or in person, you want to make sure that you have already emailed them everything that you've been preparing, all of the offers, the spreadsheet, and their net sheets. That way they have quick references to what you'll be looking at in their own emails on their own computer. This is your time to showcase all the hard work you just put in comparing all of these offers, putting together the spreadsheet, and creating the summaries and the net sheets for each one of these offers. Show them what you've done and help them understand the key differences between each one of the offers and how it's going to directly affect them, their plans, or their goals. I promise you, they will appreciate everything being visual for them to look at through the spreadsheet, through the summaries, through the net sheet. They're going to appreciate the work that you put in to help them make this process a little bit easier. And that's going to pay dividends for you in the future, whether they plan to buy again in the future or whether they plan to refer you to one of their friends or family. This is a key moment for you to be able to prove yourself and again, showcase all of your hard work. So now that you have informed your client to the max about the differences between the offers, it's time to present the acceptance or the rejection. If the seller is accepting an offer, make sure to get their signatures and initials everywhere that's necessary on every document that's necessary. If they're rejecting an offer, sometimes you can get away with just emailing the buyer's agent and letting them know, hey, we're sorry, the seller decided not to accept your offer at this time. If they have any if you have any feedback for the buyer's agent, maybe you can let them know that if they're still open to counters or things like that. If you have accepted someone else's offer already, also let them know we haven't accepted your offer. Unfortunately, we did accept another person's offer. We'll let you know if things change or if the home comes back on market. We look forward to your client coming back to the table. And in other cases, you can submit to them an official form that is a seller rejection of the offer. Have them sign that document. This is something that I usually request from sellers when I'm submitting offers for buyers because I want to know that they actually presented my offer to the seller. I want to know that the seller did see it, they did see my strong offer, and they have just rejected it because someone just was willing to pay more than I was or than my buyer client was. I want to see that seller rejection letter signed just to make sure. Just to make sure. If you have accepted an offer, make sure to submit that to the buyer's agent as quick as possible and equally as quickly. Call them, text them, email them, whatever way that you've been communicating with that listing agent, that buyer's agent, whatever way you've been communicating, reach out to them that way right away and let them know their offer's been accepted, you have seller signatures, it's been executed, whatever the case is, and that they have it in their email inbox. But what if the seller counters any offers? Well, the first thing you want to do is make sure that you understand completely what it is the sellers want. What is their counter? What do they want improved about each one of the offers that you'll be countering? That way you can write it up as exactly as they want to see it as possible. given the information the seller has given you about the counter and what they want to reply to the buyer with, you need to let them know what the consequences of the counter might be. Not consequences for them just performing the action of countering, but you've gone through the buyer's proposed terms and how that affects the seller, how that affects the contract in whole. So you also want to do the same thing for your counter. When you're countering, if the seller wants you to increase purchase price or reduce option period, you want to let them know, okay, this is what we're doing. This is how it affects the contract. This is how it affects other terms in the contract. And this is how the buyer might see it. Here are some scenarios for how this might play out, how they might respond to something like this. If they're requesting a 10-day option period, but your buyer wants a 3-day option period, you're going to have to let them know that's a pretty wide margin. It may be based on the property condition. It needs a little bit of work, so they want a little bit more time. Let the seller know exactly what that's going to do to affect all of the terms in the contract. So the next thing to do would be to write up the counteroffer or counter offers. Make sure that everything is correct, just as if you were writing an offer for one of your buyer clients. Make sure that the counter offer is correct. All of the fields are filled in with the appropriate information. All the numbers are correct. All of the terms that the seller wants to counter with, make sure all of that stuff is correct, because you don't want to get caught 10 days, 15 days into the contract and the seller realizes due to certain events that what they wanted in that counter offer wasn't actually put in there. That would be a big problem for you. Once you verify that all the information, numbers, and terms are correct inside your counter or multiple counter offers, send it back to the buyer's agent and notify them that you've sent back a counter offer by email, text, or phone call. Again, in whichever form that you and the buyer's agent have been communicating so far. So now that you've submitted all your counter offers or counter offer to the buyer's agents, someone may accept that counter offer. If you do have an acceptance on your counter offer, you want to revert back to previewing or reviewing the offer. Make sure that nothing has been changed from the counter offer. Make sure everything in there is as you put it in your counter offer that was decided on by your seller. If you have responded to buyer's agents with multiple counter offers, you don't want your seller to sign these counter offers yet. Because if more than one of these buyers accepts your counter offer, you will be under contract with multiple people if that gets executed. So wait for your seller to sign. Have the buyer sign the counter offer first, return it back to you. Then you can review the counter offer, make sure everything is correct and everything is in there as the seller wanted it. And then you can present it to them for signatures. And they can look at the different counteroffers that they got back or the acceptances of counteroffers that they got back, and then decide whether or not they want to go with this counteroffer or this counteroffer based off of the terms and the numbers inside them. If the buyer has rejected your counteroffer, find out what can we do between the two parties to maybe make this more acceptable, especially in the case of only having one offer on the table or a couple offers on the table, or maybe you only countered one of the offers because the other offer or offers isn't anywhere near as close as that top offer. Figure out if there's anything that you can do to make the deal still work, because you don't want to scare a buyer away with a counter offer, but you also want to make sure that your sellers are getting the best deal possible with the best terms. If they still want to reject the counter offer, make sure again that you get that counter offer rejection in writing. Use a form that the buyer can sign indicating that they reviewed the offer and they've decided not to accept the counter offer or not to continue moving forward with purchasing your seller's property. Now, whether it's an acceptance or a rejection of the counter offer, you want to present this to your seller the same way you did when you got the offers in the first time. Present the counter or counter offers. Ensure to them that everything is correct and nothing has been changed from the way that you wrote up the counter offers, and let them know what was accepted and what was not accepted, so that you guys can move forward with whoever is going to be the new buyer of your home. Once your seller has signed the counter offer and it's been executed, make sure to reach out to the buyer's agent and congratulate them and let them know that the seller has accepted the offer as it stands with the counter, and that you look forward to moving into the contract period with them and bringing this thing to a close as smoothly as possible. By now, it's been a tedious exercise for you and for your sellers, but you're finally at the point where there's nothing left to do but execute that contract. You did just review all of the counter offers or the counter offer for accuracy, but it's a good idea to do this again one more time before it actually gets executed and put into place legally. So go back through all the documents, make sure nothing was lost in the shuffle or nothing was lost in different folders in receiving or sending to the seller. Just make sure all of the documents are there that you need. Make sure that all the signatures and initials are where they need to be so that there aren't any issues down the road with the buyer having not signed or agreed to something that comes up. So if everything looks good, have your seller sign the contract and initial where necessary and submit it as an executed contract to title, the lender, and the buyer's agent. This is your chance to ask any questions, give us some feedback, which we love, or find out any other information that you might need about this process. Leave us a comment below or shoot us a direct message. You can also call us at the number below. Let us know what you need. Let us know how we can help you and your business. And if you just need some more explanation or clarification on anything that we've discussed inside this class, please let us know. Please reach out to us. And again, we appreciate your comments and your feedback, and we always respond in a timely manner. So until then, thank you again. Make sure to join us every Monday at 12 noon for this Kickstart series live, where you'll be able to chat with us in real time, and we'll be going through the class a little bit more in depth. That way, it's not just something that's recorded, and there can actually be some engagement, which is super beneficial for your learning process. Make sure to hit the subscribe button to be notified of our next free class coming up, and that class is going to be servicing your listing.